In today's Time for All Ages, we're having a little bit of a throwback this Sunday to a video that I made a little bit over a year ago, back when we were only 6 months in to our year and a half of online pandemic ministry. It was one of my first forays into the art of movie storytelling, and I hope you enjoy watching it today as much as I enjoyed making it.
I'd like to share with you a story from the Jewish tradition about mistakes. It comes from the Jewish scripture, the Torah. You might have also read it in the Christian books of the Old Testament. Perhaps you have heard the story of Noah and the flood before. It goes something like this. God was not having a good day. Looking around at the world they had created, God had some feelings. God said, I pour my heart and soul into making this wonderful world full of people and animals and plants and so many cool things. And if you think it's easy, I have one word for you: anteater. All this effort, and what? A year or two or 1,000 goes by and the whole thing is a mess. And people are the worst. They rob and they murder and they lie and they cheat. God started to think that they had made a big mistake. So God said to himself, maybe I should just start all over. And that's just what they did. But before they did that, God took a good look around to make sure that there were not, in fact, any good people about to be destroyed. It turned out that God did find one kind and caring family. It was the family of a man named Noah. And so God said to Noah, this world is just no good. I'm planning on getting rid of all the people except you and your family. So here's what I want you to do. Build a really big ark, big enough not just for your whole family, but for 2 of every animal on the planet. I'll give you some time, you and your family, but you better hurry because I am going to send a big flood. I'm going to rain this whole parade. And anyone who is not on your boat is going to get very wet. I imagine that Noah had a pretty hard time believing what he was hearing. But he gathered up his family and told them what he'd heard. No doubt they had a hard time believing Noah too, but they trusted him. And so the family set about building the ark. And others went about gathering 2 of every animal. Of course, everyone else thought that Noah maybe had a screw loose because here he was building this ginormous boat and filling it with animals. But Noah and his family kept right on working. And eventually the rain came. It rained and rained and rained like no rain you ever saw. It was as if the sky was full of millions of fire hydrants all opened up at once. And the water got higher and higher and covered the land. And the giant boat, full of animals and Noah's family, gently rose with the water. For days and days and nights, the rain went on until finally it just stopped. The people ran to the windows of the ark and were astonished to see blue sky and blue water and nothing else. Just water and sky. There was nowhere to go and nothing to do. So they waited and waited. Finally, Noah sent a raven out to fly around and look for land, but there was nowhere to rest. Noah waited a week, and then he sent out a dove. The dove flew around looking for land, but it came back tired too. So he brought it back in and waited another week. Then he sent the dove out again. This time, the dove came back with an olive branch in its beak. That meant that it had found a tree, which means that it had found land. Eventually, the water receded enough so that Noah and his family could see that they were on a mountain. And there was land around them. Maybe not dry land, wet and mushy land, but it was land all the same. Finally, the people and the animals were able to come out of the ark and leave the crowded, smelly boat and touch the earth. They were all overcome with gladness, and Noah made an altar to thank his God for bringing them to safety. "Welcome home," said God. "I will make a deal with you, a promise, a covenant. I promise to never flood the earth again. That was my real mistake, giving up on everything. You taught me hope in your boat full of life. And as a sign of my covenant with you, I will put a rainbow in the clouds. My covenant is with all the beings of the earth, not just the people. When you have children, tell them this story and teach them to care for all life as you have done. Every time you see a rainbow, I hope it will remind you of our covenant to create and preserve life together." Here at Northwoods, we also have a covenant, a special set of promises about how we will treat each other. We say it here every Sunday. One difference is that our covenant is with each other. Being a community, being a people together, requires trust and partnership. And we want this community to be built on our shared values of love, service, peace, and freedom. Our covenant is a promise that each of us and all of us as a community will do just